So Discussing Film put out a tweet earlier today. Zack Snyder responds to criticism that his fandom is toxic. In what world does this toxic fandom raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for suicide prevention? How is that a toxic fandom? They've probably achieved more than any other fan base. Now, this is something that Zack clearly thinks because he's been active in promoting the AFSP drives that people have done on the Snyder Cut fandom. And a lot of people out there within the fandom are very, very, very dedicated to raising funds for that, which is amazing, which is great. I don't know. I mean, like, look, man, like he's biased. Let's be fair, right? So this is the article, right? Zack Snyder calls out the fakers who hated on his Justice League. Now, it is an interesting quote, and this is an older quote. I don't know from when this was. This is from when Sean O'Connell, and we're going to talk about him. This is from when Sean O'Connell penned the article, or interviewed Zack, which was definitely a while ago. And I don't know if Zack still feels the same. He probably does, but I don't know when he reported this. So I don't know what day, but more or less the whole point here is that he has the article, okay, and he just talks about like how you've got these these fakers, right? Like people that he says here, those are people that I've been held back from confronting by wiser people in the room. Because I'd love to get at some of these characters, right? And you could tell this is more of an angry Zack. This is definitely before the Snyder Cut was announced, before they worked the deal. This is him, looking at the way like the Hollywood bloggers, like they write about it, they talk about it, and they dismiss it. And you can tell that that's something that's definitely bothered him. And he's talked about, he says here, I can make a list. There's a few of these guys where I could just get a list of everything that they've ever said that they thought was right and tell them every single thing that they said is wrong. And you know what? That kind of call out, I think is necessary. I think it's necessary, and I think it's important to do. Again, going back to what I was talking about Doomcock earlier, calling out that kind of nonsense is absolutely fundamentally okay. It's absolutely fundamentally all right to do. And I think in the context even of this article, it is 100% okay to do. Because again, we're talking about people who consistently get things wrong or act inappropriately, or in the case of this article, unethically. And then also he goes on to talk more here about the fandom, about the Snyder Cut fandom and how great they are. And this has caused a lot of division today that I've seen. A lot of people were attacking it, trying to say that, this is just like the toxic side of the fandom exists. You can't ignore it. This is just people that are, that are just inflating Zack's ego. And, here's the thing. All of those things are true. They're true. But that doesn't take away from like the good that the fandom has done. There are bad eggs in every fandom, 100%. We've talked about Doomcock already multiple times this episode. And he's a bad egg of the Star Wars fandom and the Star Trek community and the Doctor Who community and anything involving women. Not a fan. He's just not a fan. However, I don't, and Zack has been very thankful to those who are, supportive of him, and that's good. And he's defended those fans, which is good. So many people don't defend their fans, and they just don't say anything when those fans get attacked. But I do think there needs to be a distinction. I just don't know how to do it. It's one of the reasons why I think going forward after this movie drops, I'm going to do what I can to start phasing out the term fandom. I just don't find it to be a useful terminology anymore. It's very much kind of lost all meaning in some aspects because it's either attacked or in some cases just people who turn a blind eye as long as it fits their narrative. And that again brings me back to Sean O'Connell and Cinema Blend and Unethical Nature. So in the article here, all right, like again, we're talking his paragraphs, okay? Second paragraph in, he says, I have arriving his book, and that's a link to his Amazon, okay? So it's a link to his Amazon. Again, second paragraph in, before we get to the two quotes by Zack. And then at the very end, he says, once again, hey, grab a copy of my book, arriving on March 1st. So it's in the second paragraph and the last thing that he writes about the article. Both of these should not be here. The managing director of Cinema Blend, right? And by his own bio right here, the managing director of Cinema Blend should not be writing an article like this. I called this out last week. I made a video on it last week. He didn't read my tweet, but he saw the video, which is why I'm doing it again. And today I called him out again. I did. I called him out again. So I said a number of hours ago, once again, Sean O'Connell quote mines his book to push 2 sales links for his hashtag release the Snyder Cut book. This coming after last week when he did the same thing. This is a conflict of interest at Cinema Blend, and it's unethical. The pattern is clear. Now, Mac Rodden here, who is the editor-in-chief of Cinema Blend, he came back to me, right? Here's a guy with 195 followers, but he's the editor-in-chief. Okay, fine. I'm not trying to attack like how big his fan base is. I'm just saying, it's okay. He says, "Hi, I'm the editor-in-chief of Cinema Blend. I asked Sean if he could pull out a couple of quotes from his Snyder Cut book to run on Cinema Blend. I thought they were interesting and readers would enjoy them. His books gets a link because it's the source. That was my decision," which is fine. If that's his decision. But where was that disclosure in the article, Mac? Where was the disclosure in the first article, Mac? Where's that disclosure? Where is the note from the editor-in-chief saying I approved this, I okayed this? And he says that's why his book gets a link. But there's 2, and now there's been 4 that I can count from just quote mining this book. And I'm pretty sure there's more. I'm pretty sure there's more out there. That's all I'm saying right here. It's like, where's the disclosure of you being ethical? Enthusiast press ethics still exists, by the way, to come on out and say something here. Now, I said, look, that's fine. However, he should not be writing the article. Like, this isn't rocket science. Book excerpts are sent out all the time, but normally writers other than the author cover them. It's still a conflict of interest any way you slice it. So then he comes out with this absolutely dismissive point here, and it's so dismissive, and it's kind of disgusting, to be honest with you. And he says, "We conduct hundreds of interviews a year, and it's always our preference to have the person who got the quotes write the article because they better understand the context. That's my perspective anyway. Totally understand people feeling differently. Appreciate the feedback." So yeah, it's a brush off. It's a brush off. Look, again, this is not like he sat down at a press junket and he got the fucking interview. This is, he wrote a book. He got the interview for the book. He's quote mining his own book, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. And then he's running 2 ads in the book, in the articles. He's running multiple ads. That's what I'm talking about. That is the conflict of interest. That is the unethical nature of which you are acting right now, Cinema Blend and Mac and Sean. And Sean said last week, he's like, I understand, I'm going to do better. And he did the exact same thing. And listen, the pattern is clear. So I finished it off by saying, look, if you want to blow this off, that's on you. The issue is the 2 ad placements for his book in the article, one before the quote from Zack Snyder himself. It's an advertisement for his book more so than anything else. And he did this last week too. Hashtag Snyder Cut. Now, here's my biggest complaint about this one. Is the fact that that I've been getting DMs from people, and I won't say who, but I've been getting DMs from people that are like, finally someone's calling out Sean. Finally someone's saying something, because they should say something. They should absolutely say something. This is a situation where there should be things that be said about this. And you know what? And I'm just going to say it here. And there are people in the Snyder Cut movement that are turning an absolute blind eye to this because it doesn't suit their narrative of going after the right kind of blogger. That there are people out there that scream hashtag us united, hashtag release the Snyder Cut, all those things that have their channels and their Twitter presences and all that stuff. But here is like legitimately proven unethical conflict of interest behavior that if you at all support Ray Fisher's accountability over entertainment, then this should be something of which gets absolutely called out. Because here's the thing. I'm not against the book. I'm not against them marketing the book, but it's like what you do is you just have somebody else cover those quotes. You could have the exact same article with the exact same quotes on it and just go, this was written by our managing director, Sean O'Connell. Here's a link to purchase the book when it releases on May 5th. Like, that's it. Just like have it written by somebody else and then have one link. But instead he's got multiple, which he does say, I've written this book, but it's like he's still an employee of the company. It's still a conflict of interest. Like it's quite frankly, I'm not happy with the fandom over this one. I'm not happy with the Snyder Cut fans that are not going to say anything about this because they look at it as being, oh, well, it's one of us. It's on the right side. And I'm not attacking Sean for previous things he's written about Zack and not wanting him to do. I don't care about any of that. That's an old ass opinion. His book could even be about his journey of finding the Snyder Cut and then believing it. And I think that'd be an interesting story to tell. At no point am I talking about any of those things. My point is ethics in journalism. And when you are using your platform, of which you are a paid, probably salaried employee, to promote your for-profit book, using multiple links, quote mining your book to do it, that's a conflict of interest. And the fact that it's backed up by the editor-in-chief, who clearly doesn't understand F all about ethics, is sickening to me, to be honest with you. And it's like, you know, and I get it. Like, I get it. They want it, you know, they want their readers, you know, because it gets shared around and they get clicks and they get views off of it. And that's what it's all about that. And I guarantee you that there's going to be, most likely more articles leading up to the release of the book. So it's February 3rd right now. Next Monday or Tuesday, or I don't even know what date it is right now. There's probably going to be another article next Wednesday, right? Or maybe there's going to be one right before the same morning, 2/14 Valentine's Day, which is going to be when the trailer drops, apparently. And so there's going to be that. And he's going to continue doing this, and no one's going to say anything. I'll say something, but it's not, it can't just be me. If you care about this kind of stuff, if you actually cared about this at all, this is something you got to stand up for. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. It's frustrating to see that, like, that there are people out there that I'm not going to call them out by name yet, because I want them to kind of come to it on their own. And I shouldn't have to. I'm not looking to put anyone on the spot, but it's just not a hard ask. It's not a hard ask to go, hey, maybe you shouldn't, you know, do unethical things. Perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. You know, I'm just frustrated with it all. Anyway,